Hi everyone, Facebook Friday. Oh no, Facebook Monday is back. But today I'm doing it a little bit earlier because we have a furniture crisis. So I'm going to save the house in a minute. But I didn't put in any posts earlier today. So many reasons for that because I wasn't sure whether I'm able to do this. And I'm very glad since last week I couldn't do this. This week I'm back on track with you, which I'm really happy about because I guess part of my personality. I like to share, I like to talk, and I like to answer questions. So this week's Facebook Live, I picked two questions, but I have something to elaborate on. So that's why I didn't want to answer too many questions because I want to do them properly and also introduce you to a couple of extra things that I think is relevant and maybe useful for other listeners. So first question I want to answer is from Joey. Joey didn't tell me how old is he or she, but I think it's a she. So she has a background in business administration. She works as a project manager. And now she's in a place where she's not sure whether she wants to go back to her study or get some ideas to maybe find a new job because she thinks she's not going anywhere in her career. I think she's feeling a little bit unsure where to proceed with her work because a lot of people that I've talked to or send me questions or interact with me are often in a generation where you don't work in a job for 10, 20, 15 years, often maybe a couple of years, a few years, and then you think about what you want to do next, how you can progress or advance your career or maybe even change your career because now with the technology we have, you definitely have opportunity to, change to another industry. Even myself, I have, lost count, but I have a few different big career change and obviously work changes. So I get that, but her point of being is that she's been in this job for a few years and she has been thinking about whether she should get a new job or she should go back to study and therefore advance her career. She definitely is interested in taking a bigger role in the future in business development, but she quote unquote suffer from analysis paralysis, where she's thinking about this a lot, and she wants to know that as a coach, what would you say to someone who faces overthinking or analysis paralysis in her case? So this is what I want to say to you, Joey. First of all, many of us do that overthinking because, as I said today, you can just Google, maybe a potential job that you're interested, or what could be helpful in terms of going back to study, what kind of subjects maybe interest you, whether you can do it online or go back to uni in person, or maybe like a hybrid of those, or that could be professional development. There's so many choices these days, and because of technology, you can actually see not just necessarily in Australia or where you're based, it could be in the United States or UK, like it could be anywhere you want to learn. You can do online, as I said. So you have a lot of choices. So I get that you may be overwhelmed by a lot of choices, but and that I think that's part of the reason why sometimes we feel overwhelmed and therefore we suffer from analysis paralysis, because we're trying to measure the pro and con of doing this program versus that program, as well as should we go back to study, or should we find a new job and then learn from the goal, or should we go something in between, which is like a professional development, so that we can sort of pave our way that way. There's so many choices there. So that is a circumstantial thing. I agree. But I actually think sometimes we suffer from overthinking, not entirely because we just overthink or keep digging on the same subject. I think it's actually about our feelings that generate from it, because often, say, when we look at all these options, we have mixed feelings, because part of it we feel overwhelmed, part of it we feel frustrated, part of it we don't know what is the best thing to do, and we don't want to do the wrong thing. We don't want to disappoint people, we don't want to invest the money in the wrong place, we don't want to waste time. So actually there's a lot of feeling mixed into this. So I often think it's not that we are unable to, it's not a question about doing, it's a question about facing that feeling we have and put it aside and then jump on the doing. It's like for us to whether save some money, enroll to a course, or look for a new job, on some website, the doing itself is actually not necessarily too hard, but it's the feelings that we have to deal with and overcome it. Then we get to do those tasks. The task itself, what I meant is the task itself is simple. It could take you maybe less than a day to really do a pretty good overview about what you can and cannot do, or do not want to do. But it's actually overcome that feeling of frustration or overwhelmment, so that we sit there to do that 1 hour research or that 1 day of research. And I think what it is that you need to really look deeper into what is really bothering you, because sometimes there could be many things. It could be the feeling you get from work, your colleagues or your boss, or how's the company culture is like, or is this the kind of work that you feel will fulfill your potential, or do you see a long-term development? So if you don't know the reasons why you feel stuck and you need to get a change, or it could be the relationship you have at the moment, maybe also put some effect on you, feeling that you want to change but you don't know what, maybe you want to do something different. We need to look at all these factors to understand what is that making you feel this way. And then once you identify that feeling that is holding you back, then you look at this as in, this is just a feeling, it may not be true. Plus, once you overcome it, then it's no longer the problem of what kind of feeling that you have. It's that what is the right action to do. Taking action itself could be really fast, but overcoming that feeling could be harder. But I would say go back to why you have such mixed bag of feeling. So, or sometimes it's because maybe you did a undergrad and then all your friends have done masters or PhD. Maybe you feel you need to do something from a university, or completely different, or maybe you have left uni for a very long time, you think that you really need to do some top up, or whatever reason it is. I think you need to look deeper instead of go shopping for your courses or new job. I think you need to really think it through and overcome that feeling first, and then act on it. And I just think that sometimes what we call analysis paralysis is not just about thinking. It's actually we are trapped and handicapped by the feeling we generated when we look at all these things. So sometimes I would say, forget the feelings. So make a very quick decision. So I'm just going to look at some courses now, or I'm going to look at some work opportunity, or going to networking event, whatever the action is needed, so that you get a bit more information and take it from there. So jump on it and do something, take some action, and through that time you will figure out the next step, rather than always hindered by these mixed feelings of, am I making the right choice? What if, I think sometimes that's what it is. I think when you're in continual motion of making small action, often you actually figure out along the way what is for you, what isn't for you. So thinking around sometimes is actually not necessarily the most helpful thing. And remember, what is trapping you may not be your thinking, but the feeling you generated. So when that pops up, you just say, okay, stop feeling that way. You change your mind. So one of the very useful technique, for example, the 5-second rules, could be one of those things that you just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and just do something. You change the mind right that it activates your prefrontal cortex. It's a bit of neuroscience, but really change the way you think and take action. And so that will really take you to a different direction. Or some people will just close their eyes, take some deep breaths, and just release what you were thinking, and then open your eyes again and start fresh that way. So whatever techniques that work for you, or meditation, or whatever, go for a run, but don't get trapped by that sort of mixed bag of feelings, but take a pause or a stop and use one of those techniques, and then take a small action step next. And then from there, small action build on itself, and it will help you to overcome this so-called analysis paralysis. You need to act, no matter how small. That would be my advice. So the second question I want to talk about is from Teresa, which I think is a girl. Okay, so she's 35, and similar to Joey early on, she feels quite stuck in her life, but hers a bit more than what Joey was talking about. Joey talked about her work, but in Teresa's case, she'd been in a relationship for 5 years, but not sure they're going to get married. It felt like work is the same. She has been in the same job for over 3 years, and she's not sure whether it will lead to something bigger. So her life seems a bit flat with her, and she wanted to, change direction, but she just don't know what is the best way to go about it. Nothing is really wrong, and sometimes this is the thing. Now, when I see this question, the first thing is that, yes, nothing is obviously wrong, but if it's bothering you, if you think something is missing, or maybe you need to re-energize the relationship, or you want to feel more excited at work, something is not quite right. Because if you propel you to write to me, obviously there's something you want to change. So I agree that when things seems okay on the surface, people will say, well, are you crazy? The guy loves you and the job pays well, why you want to change? You gotta sometimes just take some time off from everybody else's opinion, because first of all, they are just opinion, and someone's opinion may not be right for you. And if it's bothering you even a little bit, and then over time, it is a voice you cannot overlook. You cannot ignore it. And I would say often, again, I don't know, maybe like people write longer questions. That's okay. Don't worry about you can write a longer format of things to me instead of so short. But I feel that often we are very stuck with the fear of, if we look at something that we're uncomfortable with, will we discover more things that we're afraid of and don't want to deal with? And if you feel your relationship is a bit flat and you don't know what, you actually, do you really want to stay in such relationship for longer term? Or do you actually prefer to maybe ask those deeper questions? And that's why sometimes I feel it's important to work with a coach. And so I understand not everybody's familiar with coaching or comfortable to hire somebody, but to have that quality conversation, it's part of the job. And also to kind of like invite you to ask yourself or ask your partner, so things seems to be going well, but I've been feeling this way. I want to know how you're feeling. Is it something that we need to look at and work on? Is it time for us to go on holiday, or is there something else happened in the past that kind of got us into where we are today? I think having a quality conversation is a skill. Communication itself is a skill, and we all change and evolve. And sometimes it could be 5 years down the line, you are not the person you were 5 years ago, and so is your partner. So things may change, and sometimes we don't catch up with each other enough in that space, or we got overwhelmed with other issues. So I think having an open hearted conversation, it's very important with yourself and also with your partner, related to the fact that you said the relationship feels flat. But also sometimes one thing affects another. So if you also mentioned that work also seems like, it seems you don't know whether it's a company you want to continue to work for, and also the profession. And then, what you're going to do is you need to ask yourself those harder questions. So what do you really want to do? How do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Sometimes it's only when we have the courage to face the fear. And, to be honest, you only can become courageous or be brave when you have to do something uncomfortable. So you can't learn how to be more courageous if everything is good. There's no time for you to be tested in a way. And sometimes only through uncomfortable times we decided to, no matter what, we're going to step up and deal with this. And that's the time we show courage, when we say the things that we feel uncomfortable, we ask the questions that we're trying to avoid. And with work, what exactly is bothering you? You didn't mention here. It just feels very flat and stuff. So I guess sometimes when you talk to a coach, you expect that maybe you get some answers. Sometimes you do. But I think often our job is kind of help you to ask harder questions. So what exactly is that work that you feel, not sure about a future? Is it because the company is restructuring, which happens all the time? Or is it the nature of the work and your role? Or is it the future of the company or the culture of the company? There's so many things that you need to consider and ask yourself. And also, how's your health? Are you exercising? Are you eating right? If you are, for some reason, say your work colleague let you down last week, and then you're having a bit of, not so great weekend. So you may have been in a situation where you're like, oh, I'm a bit upset, so I'm not going to do the exercise. I'm just going to watch more TV, or, think about it and read some books. And, maybe you haven't been staying active in the last, I don't know how long this issue has been having, because sometimes we just don't know what to do and we do nothing. And then, it's a very reasonable response because we don't want to take risks, and it's hard sometimes to step up and, face the thing up front. So we have to kind of wait until a boiling pivot point. So you could be maybe not moving around enough with your body, so then you are feeling low in energy and everything else seems flatter in your world. Or maybe because of that, you choose to eat food that is not, again, as energetic as it possibly can be. So, life is not a very simple, one-line, simple subject. It's often, we have to look at this 360. Is it your work environment? Is it your living environment? Not only the relationship and work you mentioned, it could be your habits. Maybe because something is bothering you, so you find an excuse not to hit the gym, or you hardly go for a walk, or maybe the place where you live right now is winter, so you feel like just staying in and stay cozy. There are many reasons that affect the way how I feel. Again, feeling is just part of the emotions that we have. First of all, it may not be true. Second of all, they come and go. Third of all, if feelings prevent us from taking actions, often we cannot break from that cycle of changing that feeling. So no matter how small, taking a small action could be a very important part. So it may be for you today to pick up the energy by asking your partner, let's go for a walk, or let's go to the gym together, pick up some energy. Have that open-hearted conversation. Or at work, really talk to some of your colleagues, like see how they're going, what they're facing similar, situations. So go deeper, take some actions rather than being withdrawn and afraid. There's no other way. I mean, if you decided to change, you can decide any moment you want to take a small step of action and take it from there. But, don't make that decision of taking the first small action trap you and trip you and preventing you. I would say start before you're ready. Do something, no matter how small, because even that would somehow help. Sometimes, previously with Joey's question, so if you are not certain about want to go back to study something more to do business development, then with some couple of books or talk to a couple of people that in that field, to just get a few, follow them on Twitter or Instagram, just get a little bit more information. Even that small action may kind of like push you into a path that may give you something to work on later. So do not, when I will often say to people, when you feel that in your life you're a place where you feel very stuck or tired or not sure what to do, things are not going, particularly good or bad, you just say you don't seem to, experience the greatness that you think you could be, you're just feeling a bit flat and stuck. First of all, do not try to find one definitive moment to change or find a huge action step or big goals to get you there. Stop that. Just do something small and little, and do not wait for the definitive moment. Just start now. Say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm just going to go for a walk and clear my head. I'm just going to, write one email. I'm just going to, look up this person, seems to be an expert in that. Maybe I can, figure it out whether it's a subject I'm interested to learn from. Do something no matter how small, but get the action in the mix. Because if you wait for that definitive moment, it may never come. And also this big action and big goal of yours may be too scary and too overwhelming. Just take something small. I think this is something I often say to people, because I noticed the biggest thing I have done, start with the smallest interest, curiosity, or action. I never start with something big, because often if the first step of action is so big, it's pretty scary, overwhelming. We probably don't start. And something big could actually start from small. Like, okay, let's say you want to have a huge conversation with your partner about how unhappy your relationship. So yeah, that sounds like a big action or a family intervention or something. But often you start with what? Smaller conversation first. You start with maybe go for a walk, talk to one of the family member. Or like, doing something with your partner, go out for dinner and, maybe have more casual conversation before leading something. So no matter what we do, the so-called very big thing we need to do and deal with, often begin with a smaller step. So just figure out that step and take that. That would be my advice. And another thing I want to talk to you guys about tonight is, I notice in the gym, a lot of people say you want to get fit, or you want to lose weight, or you want to get more energy. So when they join a gym, what they do, they often will sign on to have a personal trainer, or it comes with a membership, or get a private session, whatever that is. That seems to be very common and normal. Like nobody's like thinking it is too weird, or it's very common practice, right? If you want to do something specifically, say you got a wedding, or you want to look good for a certain occasion, or you decide this is my New Year resolution, I want to get healthy, you get some help. You sign up for a personal trainer to help you with it. You get a buddy in a way, accountability, but also expertise to help you. Now, I find it very different that when it comes to coaching, a lot of people would see coaching as something like, whoa, it's going to be really expensive. It's going to be, I don't know whether I need it, or what do we do with it? To be honest, if you have a problem with, I don't know, your relationship or your career, or you're feeling stuck, often people wouldn't necessarily think that, with the same analogy, that we'll just get a personal coach to deal with it. Say, I have a resolution, I want to write a book, or I want to start a business, or I want to lose 10 pounds, to get a coach to help you to work on that particular project. For me, it's a very straightforward thinking. But the way how I guess society is formed, or the business culture or the model of those coaching businesses, not necessarily work like going to the gym, right? Where you kind of sign up with, some complimentary session, and it's to be, very common practice. I think it hasn't been sort of as common to a lot of people yet. So I guess I'm sort of promoting it as in, this is how coaching is like. You talk to people that understand your situation, listen to you, reflect back on you, and ask you quality questions, get you to reflect, get you to take some action, help you guide through the journey, and keep you accountable. That's what coaches do. And plus, there's other resources that coaches often have. And specifically, if you're working on a career situation, you work with someone who particularly have a specialty in career, or assessing your interests or professional development and so forth. So, the same, like you go to the gym, you want to say bodybuilding, you probably find a coach that look like specialty is about bodybuilding, right? So, or if you want to work for someone helping you to get more flexible, or ballerina body, you go for like maybe a bear class and go for a coach that work in that specific area. But it's same for coaching. But I think it's less common, maybe because of the price, maybe also because we don't have a big building like a gym to host a lot of coaches for you to work with. But I think it's very similar. Like if I have a big problem or big issue, the first thing I will go, because I'm a coach, I will find a coach to help me with it. Because for me, that really helps me to move things faster. I'm not just here to try to promote myself as a coach, but I just want to give you this idea that if you want to get something done, get someone to help you with, it can be very, very beneficial. But open your eyes. The first time I work with a coach or mentor really changes my view and perspective. And of course, progress, keep you accountable and all that. So, this is one of the way, send me your questions via email or PM me on Facebook. Really, and start from now, please write longer. Don't worry, it has to be a short question just because, it's a Facebook Live scenario and you don't know, you're trying to be very general, and you can go deeper. It's okay. I'll keep it confidential, and you want to, I can change your name too. So that's part of what I want to say about coaching, and answer some of the questions regarding analysis paralysis, overthinking, and feeling stuck. I hope it has been helpful. I want to talk to you more about different coaching method and coaching models so you can use it for yourself. But I think you may have to wait until next week because I think I'm overrunning a little bit. I don't want to keep this too long. But next week, I will try to talk about several different coaching models that it will be quite easy with acronyms, so you can probably use it on yourself. That could be one of the helpful tools if you are not sure about working with a coach. And so forth. So until next week, take good care of yourself and have fun living. And I will speak to you again next week.